everyone, welcome to another video tutorial featuring Create a Smile stamps. I'm Justine and today we're going to be creating this bad day card. Now I personally absolutely love to have these cards on hand, especially when someone's having a bad day. It's always nice to give it to them, or if you're anticipating a bad day coming up at work or in the family or whatever. This is always kind of a fun way to make light of the situation. And that bird stamp on it looks the way I feel sometimes when I'm finished work for the day, so I absolutely adore the stamp set and it's very, very well loved and used. I'm starting off by cutting 4 squares. They measure 1.5 inches each, and I'm going to be stamping 4 of the images from this stamp set onto those squares. I'm going to be stamping the umbrella, the rainy cloud, a sort of droopy flower, and this funny bird. I'm trying to create 2 images that are similar in color using Copic markers and the other 2 images in opposing colors so that they have a little bit of contrast and relation on the card. So I'm just going in and stamping partial images. Stamping partial images of stamps can also make the stamps look even more different than they usually do, and it's another great way to stamp or stretch your stamps rather. So I'm doing all 4 of these here. I thought the umbrella was important to stamp the whole thing just because I'm not quite sure if you would know what it is if you cut off the bottom part of it. The clouds here are just absolutely adorable, and all of these stamps just scream, I'm having a bad day. And even on the stamp, there is a poop stamp if you're having a really shitty day, pardon my language, and so that is also extremely appropriate. I'm going to be using some Copic markers to color these images. I will have the colors listed over in the corner as well as on the craft mat, and I'm just going to put you in fast mode as I do that. So to start off, I'm going to start off with this really funny bird, and I'm going to be using the YR12, the Y17, and Y19. I really found the hex chart where it shows all the Copics to be really helpful in creating these yellow shades because you can see which ones actually are really close to each other. For example, I would never think that YR12 and Y19 would work well together if I didn't have that chart, so it's definitely a lifesaver. So I pretty much go in with light, dark, medium light, and sort of not putting a ton of effort into my coloring for this card because I would probably create these in bulk as well, and I want to create it sort of quick and easy, but overall just adding a bit of shading and really Copic coloring is not my specialty. I'll leave that to Francine, and so I'm just creating this really fun card that sort of anyone can create with Copics. Using BG32, BG34 to do the flower, and the greens are YG95 and YG97. Coloring the red pieces in R29, and I'm using the Y17 and Y19 once again for the umbrella. I left out the YR12 this time. So now that I'm done all 4 of those, I'm going to mount them onto a piece of paper from Create a Smile as well. I absolutely love the wood grains that come on the back of the paper, and they're really great for adding neutral cards, and I didn't want anything to really take away from the images that are presented here. So I wanted the card to have sort of a somber tone, but also be vibrant and bright, because it's supposed to be representing a bad day, but making light of the situation, and I think that I achieved that look with the colors. I am creating some silver glitter here, and I am cutting these at 1/8 of an inch larger than the 1.5 inch that I created. I'm really not good with inches, but I think you know what I mean. Kind of like the next tick up. And then just so that they have a really small border around the silver area, or around the images. I didn't want to cut them a full 1/8 of an inch around just because I thought that that would take away from the card and put too much focus on the glitter. So I created sort of my window panel here, and I added these 4 sort of pieces. So this is a good way that you can create your own fake window without having to invest in a die for it. I do want a die in this sort of a window die, but unfortunately I don't have one yet, and this is also a great way to create your own. Next up, I wanted to add a sentiment, so I just cut out a piece of white, solar white cardstock. Again, I stamped the bad day in it. I didn't actually particularly measure this in any way. I just created sort of something that would fit around the stamped sentiment, and then I created that same silver background based on how big you cut your white cardstock. That would be the amount that you would need to cut the silver. So I just added that and then added it on a diagonal way onto the square panel here. And then lastly, I had to adhere it with some foam tape. Next, I just needed to make my card base. Now, originally I thought I was going to make a card base that measured 11 by 4¼ inches, so it was going to be a standard A2 card. But then I decided that the bottom looked just a little too empty, and I really wasn't sure what to do with that space. I tried adding various embellishments and trying out different things, or maybe adding another stamped sentiment to it, but it ended up just not working out. So what I did was I just cut this down to make a square card. And the card ended up measuring, I believe, 4¼ by 4¼ roughly. And I think that that ended up looking really quite nice. So I hope you enjoyed my video tutorial for December. All supplies used are linked to below in the video description or on my blog. Thanks for sticking around. If you want to check out my blog or the supply list, feel free to click up at the top. Over on the right, you'll see the red subscribe button. You can click there to subscribe to my channel, or you can click on the moving video to check out my last video that I created. Thanks so much for watching.